All right, thanks, guys. I have a ton of underdogs that I'm leaning toward today, so let's go ahead and get into them and see which dogs that we are leaning toward. We're going to begin with the Astros taking on the Orioles. Now, that's going to be a 1:05 Eastern first pitch in Baltimore. Haven't seen a money line this high. Haven't seen an expensive price this expensive. Houston's minus 440 right now. Totals at 10. Now, they opened 370 and saw huge movement towards them. So, I guess a little bit of a recency bias after they put up a gazillion runs last night. But anyway, Houston opened 370, up to 440. Total open M remains at 10 flat. 73% are leaning Houston, 55% shaded toward the over. Right now, Baltimore is plus 390 on the money line. Houston minus 240 on the run line. We have Justin Verlander for the Astros, Asher Wojciechowski for the Orioles. I know Verlander's great. He's 15-4, 2.68 ERA, 0.81 WHIP. Wojciechowski on the other side, just 2-5, 4.89 ERA. But this price point, I simply can't resist. You never know what'll happen. I just can't resist it. I'm a sucker. There's no logic behind this lean. I'm going to lean Baltimore plus 1.5 and the under 10 runs in that game. Next matchup, Angels, Red Sox, 105 Boston. The Red Sox are minus 140, totals at 11.5. We saw a 30-cent fade of the Red Sox and movement downward on the total. Boston opened 170 down to 140, total open 12 down to 11.5. 55% are leaning Boston, 56% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Angels are plus 130 on the money line. Boston plus $1.25 on the run line. We had Patrick Sandoval for the Angels, Andrew Cashner for the Red Sox. Cashner comes into this game with a 4.68 ERA and a 1.32 WHIP. Boston's also won just 3 out of their last 13 games. They rank 21st in runs allowed on average per game. Now, the Angels on the other side, pretty good covering away from home. They're 35-26 against the spread when traveling. And of course, when I refer to the spread in Major League Baseball, I'm referring to the run line. So once again, the Angels 35-26 against the number away from home. They also rank second in offensive strikeouts at the plate. Total wise, by the way, about that, man, LA really making a lot of contact. Almost impossible to strike them out. But anyway, total-wise, the Angels are 80% to the over in their last 5. Boston on the other side, 12-4 to the over in their last 16. So with all that said and done, 2 leans, 2 underdogs. Give me the Angels plus 1.5 and the over 11.5 runs in that game. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Sunday's Major League Baseball action. Happy Sunday to you. Hopefully you guys are enjoying an incredible weekend of relaxation or turning up or being productive, working, whatever it is. Happy Sunday to you. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. Now, I just got to remind you guys real quick to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. If you're unfamiliar with that, we do daily plays on that site. We got a bunch of different tiers, memberships, and packages, and they begin at just $1.99 per month. We're doing incredible in each and every one of those packages. And if you want to check out my current record in those memberships, that's a part of the free content. Just go to Patreon right now. That's a part of the free content on that site. Just go to the post section, and you can go ahead and take a look at that and see how well we're doing in many different categories. Once again, that is patreon.com/BrockPage. Link for that site is in the description section below. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get back into some more lines and personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got the Yankees taking on the Blue Jays, 107 Toronto. The Yankees are minus 170, totals 10.5. We did see a 20-cent fade of New York and movement upward on the total. The Yankees open $1.90 down to 170. Total open 10, up to 10.5. 53% are leaning Yankees, 65% shaded toward the over. Right now, Toronto's plus 160 on the money line. We have Masahiro Tanaka for the Yankees, Trent Thornton for the Blue Jays. Thornton's just 4-7 with a 5.55 ERA and a 1.53 WHIP. Tanaka on the other side, 7-6 on the year, 110 strikeouts, and just 129 innings pitched. The Blue Jays are 22 games under 500. They're 49-71 overall for the year. They rank 4th in the American League East. They're 28.5 games back of these very Yankees. They've also won just 22 out of 57 at home. And one more thing about Toronto. They rank 29th in hits on average per game, which is second to last in Major League Baseball. Now, the Yankees on the other side, they are first in scoring, first in hits at home. They also have the second most wins in the American League, 76 of them. They're 76-41 overall for the year, 35 games over 500. Now, when it comes to the total, the Yankees are 15-5 to the over in their last 20. They're also 42-14 to the over overall for the year. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Yankees minus 170 and the over 10.5 runs in that game. Next matchup, Royals, Tigers, 110 Detroit. The Royals are minus 110, totals at 9. Not a whole lot of movement on the total. We did see a 20-cent fade of Kansas City. They opened $1.30 down to minus 110. Total open and remains at 9. 61% are leaning the Tigers, 54% shaded toward the over. Right now the Tigers are plus 102 on the money line. The Royals plus $1.40 on the run line. We have Jake Junis for the Royals, Daniel Norris for the Tigers. Norris has 98 strikeouts in just 117 innings pitched. Junis on the other side for the Royals, just 7-10 on the year, 4.88 ERA, 1.40 WHIP. The Royals are 26th in scoring, 26th in walks allowed. When it comes to the total, Kansas City's 4-2 to the under in their last 6, 35-25 to the under away from home. This is a pure fade of the Royals. I'm going to lean Detroit Tigers plus 102 and the under 9 runs in that game. And that is, what is that? 3 dogs already picked, 4 dogs already, and we got plenty more coming. So this could be a feast or famine day. We could really cash in on some plus money or just totally get gaped when it comes to these plays. But anyway, next ball game, Nationals, Mets, 110 Eastern first pitch in Flushing, Queens. The Mets are minus 200, totals at 8. Pretty good two-way action on the money line. Not a whole lot of movement there. We did see movement upward on the total. So once again, New York open and remains minus 200. Total open 7.5 up to 8 flat. 64% are leaning Mets. 65% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Nationals are plus 175 on the money line. The Mets plus $1.05 on the run line. We have Anibal Sanchez for the Nats. Jacob deGrom for the Mets. Now, as good as deGrom's been this year, he's just 7-7 on the year. Sanchez on the other side for the Nats, he's 7-6 with a 3.67 ERA. He also has 96 strikeouts and 112 innings pitched. This is a really, really expensive price for Mets backers. I know they've been red hot as of late, but you may want to be cautious. That is a crazy price point, especially going up against Washington. Now, the Nats are in first place of the wild card race right now, so if the season were to end, they would be in the tournament. They're 61-55 overall for the year, 5th in striking batters out on the road. They're also 5th in runs allowed on the road and 6th in hits allowed when traveling. Now, the Mets on the other side, they are 18th in home hits, 15th in home walks allowed. And when it comes to the total, the Nats are 80% to the under in their last 5. I really like this price point for Nats backers. I'm going to take the 1.5 here. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Washington plus 1.5 and the under 8 runs in that game. Next matchup, Cubbies, Reds. 110 Eastern first pitch at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. The Reds are minus 125, totals 9.5. We saw a 10-cent fade of Cincinnati and movement upward on the total. The Reds open 135 down to 125, total open 9 up to 9.5. 67% of the consensus is leaning toward Cincy, 57% shaded toward the under. Right now the Cubs are plus 115 on the money line. The Reds plus $1.60 on the run line. We have Big John Lester for the Cubs, Luis Castillo for the Reds. Now, as good as Castillo's been this year, a lot of free passes, a lot of walks, 60 bases on balls in just 137 innings pitched. Meanwhile, Big John Lester on the other side, 9-8 on the year, 122 Ks in just 123 innings. The Reds are 4th in the NL Central. just 56 and 59 overall, 3 games under 500. They're 6 games back in the division. They're also 21st in scoring, 23rd in hits. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Cubbies are 6th in offensive walks, 7th in runs allowed. They're in first place in the NL Central, and they've won 6 out of their last 9 ball games. Now, total-wise, the Cubs are 5-2 to the over in their last 7. The Reds are 6-1 to the over in their last 7 themselves. So with all that in mind, I'm going to lean toward the road dog in this one. I like the Cubbies catching plus money, especially with Lester on the bump. Give me Chicago plus $1.15 and the over 9.5 runs in that game. Next matchup, Braves, Marlins. 1:10 Eastern first pitch in Miami. The Braves are minus 200, totals 8.5. We saw a 10-cent move toward Atlanta and movement downward on the total. The Braves open $1.90 up to 200. Total open 9 down to 8.5. 72% are leaning Atlanta, 66% shaded toward the over. Right now the Marlins are plus 180 on the money line. The Braves minus $1.20 on the run line. We have Mike Foltynewicz for the Braves, Hector Noesi for the Marlins. Folty comes into this game for the Braves with 57 strikeouts and just 64 innings pitched. The Braves are first in the NL East, 4th in scoring, 7th in hits. They're also 10-3 in their last 13 taking on the Marlins. And speaking of the Fish, they are dead last in the NL East, just 44-72 overall for the year. 28 games under 500. They have a .379 win percentage, 23.5 games back in the division. They rank dead last in scoring. Now, total-wise, the Braves are 5-0 to the over in their last 5. They're also 5-1 to the over in their last 6 in Miami. So with all that said and done, we're going to go to the complete opposite. We picked a bunch of dogs. Now we're going to pick a chalky favorite. Give me the Braves minus 1.5 in the over 8.5 runs in that game. Next matchup, Rangers, Brewers. And that is going to be a 2:10 Eastern first pitch in Milwaukee. Hey, before we cap this game, did you guys see Adrian Hauser, pitcher for the Brewers, completely blow chunks on the mound yesterday? That was interesting. And what's really even more interesting, that was not the first time he's done it. Adrian Hauser blows chunks on the mound frequently. Look it up. It was very disturbing, but he powered through and had a pretty good outing yesterday. But anyway, Rangers take on the Brewers, 2:10 Eastern first pitch at Miller Park. Maybe he has a few too many Millers. But anyway, the Brewers are minus 125, totals at 9. We saw a 20-cent fade of Milwaukee and movement downward on the total. Milwaukee open $1.45, down to 125. Total open 9.5, down to 9 flat. The Rangers, 60% of the consensus are leaning toward them, and 68% shaded toward the over. Right now, Texas is plus 115 on the money line. The Brewers plus $1.50 on the run line. We have Mike Minor for the Rangers, Jordan Lyles for the Brewers. Now, Mike Minor for Texas comes into this game with a 10-6 record, 3.06 ERA, and a 1.20 WHIP. He also has 148 strikeouts in just 147 innings. The Rangers are 8th in scoring. They're also 36-23 against the spread away from home. The Brewers on the other side, they're just 25-34 ATS at home. They're 25th in striking out at the plate, 23rd in walks allowed. And when it comes to the total, the Rangers are 23-17 at the over, taking on teams between 460 and 540. So with all that in mind, we're going to lean toward another underdog. Give me the road dog in this one. I'm going to lean Texas Rangers plus 1.5 and the over 9 runs in that game. Next matchup, Indians, Twins, 2:10 Minnesota. The Twins are minus 135, totals 9.5. 10-cent fade of the Twins and movement downward on the total. Minnesota open 145 down to 135. Total open 10 down to 9.5. 57% are leaning Minnesota, 53% shaded toward the over. Where now Cleveland is plus 125 on the money line. The Twins plus $1.40 on the run line. We have Aaron Saval for the Indians, Jose Barrios for the Twins. Barrios is 10-6 with a 3.24 ERA and a 1.15 WHIP. He also has 140 strikeouts and just 147 innings pitched. Minnesota is first in the AL Central, 3rd in scoring, 2nd in hits. The Indians on the other side, 19th in scoring, 22nd in hits. They're winning just 35% of their games as the official road underdog. They're also winning just 37% of their games at the current market price. Now, total-wise, the Indians are 7-1 to the under in their last 8. I'm going to lean Minnesota minus 135 in the under 9.5 runs in that game. Next matchup, A's, White Sox. 2:10 Eastern first pitch at Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago. The A's are minus 120, totals at 9. We saw a nickel fade of Oakland and movement downward on the total. The A's open $1.25 down to 120, total open 9.5 down to 9 flat. 55% are leaning Oakland, 60% shaded toward the under. Right now the White Sox are plus 110 on the money line, Oakland plus $1.15 on the run line. We have Chris Bassett for the A's, Lucas Giolito for the White Sox. Now, if you like the A's in this matchup here, Bassett is 7-5 with a 3.80 ERA and a 1.20 WHIP. He also has 101 strikeouts and just 106 innings pitched. The Athletics are just 1.5 games back for that second wildcard spot in the American League. They are 66-51 overall for the year, winners in 6 out of their last 10. They also rank 6th in road scoring, 8th in runs allowed. Now the White Sox on the other side, they are 28th in scoring on average per game, which is third to last in Major League Baseball. They're also 26th in striking out on average per game and 27th in walks allowed. Now, total-wise, the White Sox are 12-6 to the under in their last 18. I'm going to lean Oakland A's minus 120 and the under 9 runs in that game. Next matchup, Pirates, Cards, 2:15, St. Louis. The Cards are minus 200, totals at 9. We saw a 10-cent move towards St. Louis. No movement on the total as of yet. The Cards open $1.90 up to minus 200. Total open end remains 9 flat. 68% are leaning St. Louis, 55% shaded toward the under. Right now the Pirates are plus 180 on the money line. The Cardinals are plus 105 on the run line. We have Steve Breaux for the Pirates, Miles Michaelis for the Cardinals. Michaelis comes into this game with a 3.94 ERA and a 1.22 WHIP. He also has 97 strikeouts. Now, Steve Breaux on the other side for Pittsburgh, 4.09 ERA, 1.50 WHIP. He also has 33 walks in just 66 innings pitched. The Cards are just a half game back for that second wildcard spot in the National League. They are 6th in runs allowed, 2nd in runs allowed at home, 3rd in hits allowed at home. Now the Pirates on the other side, losers in 8 out of their last 10. They've also dropped 23 out of their last 27 ball games. Really, really bad run there for the Pirates. They're also 26th in runs allowed. Now, total-wise, the Cards are 6-0 to the under in their last 6. I'm going to lean Cardinals minus 1.5 in the under 9 runs in that game.